And we are picking up again at the top of page 56, and where we left off I had you resize the title text layer so that it fit the safe area at the top of this document, and I neglected to have you hit the check mark up top to accept the change, or you could hit your enter key, same thing. Now I want you to go into the transform again. So to do that, hold down your control key and hit T, or you can go back up and go into edit and do transform. This is just a shortcut key, and taking a look at the top of in your control panel, you're going to see that your width and your height are showing up as percentages, and that's because we are working with this layer that is a smart object. So to make sure that everything is exactly the way it should be, we've got it approximately, but let's change and make sure that these are chained. We're going to change this to a 65% and hit enter. That'll change both your width and height, and then hit the commit change. Hold down your Alt key and click on the eye for your tornado layer so that you can hide everything else but that tornado. We want to change the way this is on the screen, and let's move down and select the tornado, not the hidden title text layer, and I'm going to drag the layer content up so it fits to the top. We don't want any of that transparency there. We want all the transparency at the bottom. Make sure you don't drag it off to the side like I just did. But we want the tornado going the other direction. So we're going to go into Edit and hit Transform. And we're going to flip. And we need to flip horizontally. Next, we're going to select and show the lightning layer, and grab your move tool and drag that over. I know it says you're supposed to use the transform tool, but you don't have to, just to slide something around. You just want to make sure that it pops into that corner correctly, and you can use your arrow keys if you're not sure you've got it. But then we need to again go in and select your transform. So Control T, because we need this toolbar up at the top. And one of the things you need to do is to make sure that you toggle this reference point thing. So if you don't have that checked, check that, and then change your reference point to the upper right hand corner. We're going to change the width of that layer, and we want to change it using the horizontal scale, and we're going to scrub that. So drag left, not right, left, and it should take you down to approximately 75%. So we want it a little bit smaller, so right around 75%. And if you want to, you can actually type 75% in. But remember, we're going from the right hand corner. And once resized, click the commit. If you go back in again to your free transform, so Control T just to double check, you're going to see that the size now is 100%. So that's the difference between using an item as a place or using a smart object. We can escape from that without changing anything. Just hit the escape key. We have a number of layers, and I'm going to just click off and deselect. And these were all created by either pasting something in or placing a file in. And each photograph and scan and some images you create from scratch begin with a default locked background layer. So it's important to understand the characteristics of that layer. You can't apply layer transformations to a background layer. It's just a flat layer. You can't move contents around. If you delete pixels, you have to know what color you want to replace with. You can't have transparent pixels in a background layer. The background layer is always going to be the bottom layer. You can't move layers lower than a background layer. For the final composite file, we're going to have to flip the woman's silhouette from the left side to the right side. So we're going to have to convert the default background layer to a regular floating layer. Let's go in and show only the background layer. So let's turn all of these off. So with the background layer selected, it's locked. We can't do anything with it. If you go into edit and try to go into the transform, it's grayed out. You can't do anything with it. Instead, we're going to have to flip the canvas. So we'll go into image and we're going to go into image rotation and select to flip the canvas horizontally. Now show the logo types layer, and because we flipped everything, we also flipped all of the layers. So our text is backwards, our logos are backwards. So we're going to actually undo this. So let's go and Control Z a couple of times here and turn it back. So this time we're going to click that lock button, and we've just changed our layer from a background layer to something called layer 0. So it is no longer the definitive background. So we're going to change that name to Sunrise and finalize the name change, and then we can go into edit, transform, and we can now flip horizontally and put her in the right place. And if we turn on our logo types, everything is still correct. So let's put those logo types back up again so we can work with them. Choose the logo layer, and with the move tool, pull it until it snaps to the bottom right live area guide. So just drag it down over here and pop it into place, and then save your file. We are picking up with stage 3 on page 64, creating complex selections. We have so many tools that we can use to select objects. We have under select, we have to select layers, deselect layers. We can do color ranges. We can work on selecting a focus area. We can select subject matter. We can select and mask these items. We can edit using a quick mask mode for the selections. We also have the marquee tool, which we can use to select. We've already used the lasso tool. There are variations of the lasso tool. We also have the quick select options, which has an object selection tool, a quick selection tool, and a magic wand tool. We have so many ways that we can pick items up so that we can select exactly what we want. There is a good article on that starting on page 63. You need to read through all of that so that you understand, and it runs through page 65. Did I say page 64? Sorry, it starts on page 64, runs through page 65, and onto page 66. You need to read through that so that you have a good understanding of the variations and how to manipulate each tool. We're picking up on page 67, create and refine a color-based selection. We want to turn off everything except for the sunrise layer. Make sure you have the sunrise layer selected. And we're going to turn our guides off. Go into view and show and turn off your guides. In the options bar, well, first of all, we're going to pick up the quick select tool. It's going to be should be the third tool down, and we just want to use our quick selection tool. And you will get this control panel. Make sure that sample all layers is turned off. If there's a check mark in there, there is a good chance you can actually pick up layers that are hidden. Turning it off does not automatically lock something. Make sure that that is not active, and click near the bottom left corner and drag right and up into the head of the silhouette. So actually I didn't even have to go all the way up, and I've got a good selection. I now want to pick up my select and mask option, which is going to put this dialog box up. We've got a special toolbar and we have our properties. Now notice that the deselected area, you can see it's become semi-transparent. You can see the gray and white checkerboard coming through. So I want to make sure that I have onion skin selected in my view modes, and we want to change our transparency up to 50%. That's going to fade that out more, but we can still see items that we want to work with. Now let's pull in, because we need to be able to work with her hair. So let me zoom in a little bit, and we are going to choose the Refine Edge brush. It's the second tool down, Refine Edge. It has edge detection capabilities, so we can paint over an area to identify areas that have very tiny amounts of detail. So we're going to bring this over those wisps of her hair so that we can actually bring those in. We can clean up the area of her hair. We can fix up in her hat as well. If you have an issue there, look at the hair on this side of her head. Can you imagine trying to do all of this nitpicky working simply by hand, trying to go in and visualize this? Now continue working on that until you are satisfied with the results. Now it doesn't have to be really picky. Dragging approximately over the details does produce a little bit better results, but you can be a little sloppy about it. You don't have to be really picky, but it will help a little bit if you're following some of those lines. Now we also want to do this for the grass, because my grass, I got way too much of this picked up, but I do need to add certain areas in here. And I need to take out some of this where there's too much grass.